Hi, welcome to another video from Dr. Lock. We're going to be having a look at the Batman screen door lock. This lock here is one of the locks we sell in our lock shop. A few people have been having troubles with it. I can understand why. It is a die cast lock and we've done this video just to help you out here. Okay, so I've got these locks all laid out. These are just some of the screws from the actual locks themselves. Here's the lock body, the turn snib, and of course the handles on either side. The 3 cylinders we're going to install into this is the Wiko screen door one, the 5-pin one, the Batman, original Batman cylinder, and an aftermarket cylinder which is compatible with most screen doors as well. So we're going to install all these screen door cylinders and I'm going to show you how to do it. Some people have been saying they're having troubles getting them in. There is a bit of a trick to it and I'll run you through that. First of all, on having a look at this lock here, these are all things that a locksmith would sort of overlook and not have a problem with, but we're just going to run through some of the things people might have a problem with. Being die cast, sometimes there is little edges and it's not the finest of machining, so when you put the turn snib into the handle, just give it a turn, make sure it turns all the way around. When you first put it in there, it might be a bit sticky and you give it a bit of a turn. Basically there might be a little burr or so which will need to sort of be worn in. So once that's in, that's basically very straightforward, no problems at all. So the turn snib turns fine. Next thing we want to do is push the turn snib in from one side all the way to the other, so it comes out the other side. Now this lock is handed on left and right doors, so if it's on like this, you've got the turn snib on this side. If it's on like this, you'll probably have the turn snib on the inner side. When I first try and put it in, it is quite hard to put in. It feels like it won't even actually fit. Don't blame me, just the manufacturers, this is how they do it. So what you might have to do is push it through from this side, that way it kind of widens the hole a little bit. You can take a file to it, give it just a slight file down, but after putting it from one side to the other, it seems to fit in there quite nicely. Alright, so let's put that aside now. Now the best way to explain this is to put the lock into the door, this part into the door, put the lock cylinder through the door, push this top button in, which will allow this bolt to pop out, and then turn it a couple of times. Make sure it's sliding up and down. Have a look at the back of the lock. When I turn this is the 3-point locking part. As I turn this, the cylinder has to be right in the middle too, lined up. As I turn this, it's going all the way to the top, all the way to the bottom. Okay, so once it goes all the way to towards the top is locked, towards the bottom is unlocked. So I'm going to put it back in the locked state now. I can see a little tiny piece of metal just come through here, if you can see that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my screw now, I'm going to put it into the hole, and tighten it up. Now with this screw, it has to go in 100% straight. So if it's on an angle like this or like this, it won't work. Also with the cylinder, you want it to be lined up right in the middle. So if it's backwards or forwards and this part here is not in the middle, it won't actually line up. So what I've done now is go back to installing it. I've turned it so the actual lock, it's up high, is locked. Then I get my screw and then I turn my key just a little bit of a turn. So I've turned it from this position over to this position and my screw's fallen back in again. Then I slide my screw all the way to the back, use my fingers to start to turn it into the lock. Now I can feel this is threading onto that, and you just drive it in. Now this screw here might need a little bit of, a little bit of strength to drive it in, to tap it into the cylinder. That's the screw that it comes with. So if you have to do that, just screw it in and out a few times and it'll work. Now we're checking the lock. Locked. Yep. Locked, unlocked, locked, unlocked. So that is working. Locked, unlocked. Okay, now the other question is, if you lock it from one side, can you unlock it from the other? Well, that's unlocked, sorry, that's locked. Go key out. That's unlocked. The other question was, if I lock it with a turn snib, will it unlock? In the moment it's unlocked. So turn snib is in the wrong spot. Okay, so flicking the turn snib, locked with the turn snib, key from this side, unlocked, locked, unlocked. Okay, so that's the Witco screen door cylinder installed into the Batman. Now I'm going to install the next cylinder. Just take this one out, pop this one in. So where it says Batman, I'm putting the cam, which is this part which moves towards the front. Putting my key in, cycling it once or twice, hearing it click. Okay, now I've put in the lock position, giving it a bit of a turn backwards, just quarter of a turn till that piece of metal goes out of the way. Putting the screw in, making sure it's lining up with the hole, this hole here. And I'm just going to use a drill on this one. Okay, that cylinder's in now. Now I'm just going to go for the test. Locked, unlocked, locked, unlocked. So here, locked, unlocked, locked, unlocked. Might take a couple of turns just to get it settled in and moving right, but that's in the right position. It's locking, unlocking. The screw there is in. Sometimes tighten that up a little bit more. Okay, so that is the universal cylinder that we just put in there. Take it out one more time. I'll quickly do the Batman before the camera runs out of battery. So I'm putting it in, pushing the secondary button, cycling it once, twice, put it in the lock position so the bit of aluminium is visible, putting the screw in, giving it a turn so it's just a slight turn so it starts to move the locking mechanism away. You can gauge it by here in the middle. Putting the screw in. Testing it. Yeah, I'll just loosen that off and line it up. Okay. Tighten the screw up. Okay. So there's the two cylinders. If you do have any troubles, perhaps back this screw off, cycle the lock a few more times, and when it's in the locked position, where this is at the top, tighten it up, and the lock will be in the right position. The trick is basically you have to capture this part right here inside the lock. So there's a part where this goes into which moves up and down, so this has to be lined up exactly. Using these tricks you should be able to reline it back up and remove the cylinder. If you have any troubles, just take your cylinder out, start from scratch. I'll just do this one from scratch. Okay, so it's out, the lock is in the unlocked position, putting my lock cylinder in, cycling it so I can feel the locking mechanism moving, move it all the way to locked, move it halfway, putting my screw in, making sure my screw is going straight into that hole there, tightening it up, not all the way, cycling it. Yes, everything's still working. Okay, that's in the locked position again. Now I'll tighten it up all the way. Testing it one more time. It's a little bit tight. You can spray a little bit of WD-40 in there on the mechanism, which might actually help. And it is working. Locking and unlocking. These locks, unfortunately this is the way to do it because this is just the type of lock that it is. If you want a different type of lock, we can supply you a different type of lock, but if you're trying to replace a Batman lock with a Batman lock, then unfortunately this is what you'll have to do. Till the battery goes flat, I'll just do it one more time using a Witco. So putting it in there, turning it about halfway. Where's that screw? Dropping the screw in. Once you have the cylinder working correctly, just put your handles on the door. Okay, show you the lock and unlock, lock, unlock, lock, unlock. So I prefer these cylinders here. We've put plenty of these in this type of lock, had no problems. apart from that lining it up problem. I'll show you what happens if you don't line it up. Okay, so let's just put also remember to put it in the lock position as well. Okay, so if I just try and put this cylinder in without flicking it and without lining it up, sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't work. And I'll just give you a quick look at what we're trying to do on the inside of the lock. So this part here, which turns, has to marry up with these parts. I'm not sure if you can see them there. So it's a bit hard to see. So if I put a bit more light on it. There's a part right about there which operates this lock. And the cam on the back has to be lined up with there. You can kind of see that. Barely see it. Just there. So there's like a valley there. Also, when you do lock and unlock it, you'll see this little part at the bottom. If that's all the way up, like you can see there, that little piece of metal, that's locked. Also show you this one here. When you put the cylinder through, you should be able to see the cylinder hole, which is this part here. You should be able to see that. You'll see this piece of metal in the way, and you'll see another piece of metal, but as you turn the key, I can do that for you. Put it down there. Okay, so that's the unlock position. As I move it, it actually comes out of the way. So if it's all the way locked, you'll see this bit in your way. If it's all the way unlocked, you'll see another little bit in your way. So about halfway, you need to get the screw in there about halfway, and then tighten it up backwards and forwards, cycle it until it all works, and that should be fine. If you have any further questions, please email us. This is the type of lock that it is. We can't do anything about it. We do resell them, but we're not responsible for the quality of which they're manufactured. We can only advise you on how to get them working and show you how to get them back together. And that's about it. Thanks for watching.